Metro's Perfect Music Mix, 91.9 The Ben, Real McCoy, another night back to 94, all part of your 90s at 9, thanks to Kara's Shoes. It's Josh and Jen, your Ben Breakfast.
We are super excited this morning, not alone in the studio. Scott Beck is in, Cybersecurity Advisor, CEO of BeckTech.ca, two-time best-selling author, award-winning speaker, and media personality. Try and say that 10 times fast.
I don't think so.
I don't think I could.
I can't do that myself, but I'll have to try it now.
Scott, how are you?
I am doing great. It's a real pleasure to be here with you guys today.
Now, you've been traveling around a lot. Almost everywhere? What would we say? Almost around the world in a year?
I'd say halfway. We got to Australia.
Oh, there you go.
We got to Australia and back.
Down under.
That's right. And so you basically go around and you teach people and inform them of cybersecurity?
Well, the bottom line is the bad guys, the criminals. It's now a business. The mafia is involved with it. They make more money with cybercrime than they do with the drug trade, if you can imagine. I mean,
wow.
It's just scary. Wow. We're talking huge money. And they're continuously winning. So the goal of myself and several other IT folks is to try to get the message out there. What can we start doing to try to stem that tide and turn it back and slow it down?
Right, because it really feels like it's just at like an all-time high right now.
Well, and I hear all the time, people are like, well, why bother? I mean, what are we going to do against it? They feel almost overwhelmed.
Right.
And there's some basic things that we can be doing to watch for this stuff. I mean, an easy way. I've got like 4 little tips to be able to see whether they're sending a phishing email or what we call smishing, which is those text messages to your phone. That
I hate those.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And now we've got vishing, which is voice. You know, when Microsoft calls you at home to tell you your computer's infected. These are all just different ways that they're trying to get to. Mm-hmm. So the REST test, R stands for the requesting private information. They're trying to get information from you. If the government is calling you and they have to ask you for your social insurance number,
they already have that
They already have that stuff. If the bank's trying to say, hey, we need to confirm your password for your bank account, guess what? They already have that. Mm-hmm. They don't need this information. They're trying to use that against you. E is emotion. They're going to try to get you emotional. Like, if you don't do this now, we're going to close down your account, or we're
you're going to jail.
Yeah. We're going to send the sheriff over, and we're going to do collection, whatever the case is. But they'll try to get that emotion going.
Okay.
S is spelling and grammar. Now, it's not all the cases, but a lot of times, English is not the first language for these hackers. Right. So the spelling can be off.
Okay.
And T is think before you click. They're now starting to send all these links in those emails, like reset your password, confirm this, confirm that. And if it says it's coming from the bank and you hover over that link, just take your mouse and hover over it, and it says it's not going to the bank site, it's going somewhere else, it's a scam. Don't click on it.
Okay.
And just 4 simple little tricks like that, you can defeat most of what's happening out there.
Wow. I would have never thought of those.
Yeah. When it's voice, what is it?
Phishing. Yeah, in my industry, we come up with some really crazy terms, right? So phishing is when they send out a fake email. Okay. It's just like you're standing on the riverbank and you're throwing a line in and seeing who you can reel in.
Okay.
Smishing, which is now the text messages, stands for SMS texting. And then vishing is just you're on the phone, voice.
Okay, vishing. I find there's an awful lot of vishing happening around here.
Yes.
When it comes to CRA, we all have someone, or one of us, our friends or something, where you get a call from somebody pretending to be the CRA.
Mm-hmm.
Around tax time, it comes in season. We see the CRA. Of course, we're coming into tax season. Just after we're supposed to file our taxes, then we're going to see a great big uptick of your refunds. You must click here or do this for your refund. And then once that's gone, you'll start seeing back into Microsoft calling again. And it seems to come in waves. Mm-hmm. And really, I'll say this. If you get one of these calls, just hang up. Don't try to antagonize them. Don't try to carry on with it. We had a case of a gentleman in St. John who kind of went off on them.
Yeah, I know somebody who may do that.
I don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
The problem with it, though, was the bad guys kind of took offense to it.
Oh.
So then when they started calling, they were able to spoof his home telephone number. So now when the bad guys were calling out, it looked like poor Mr. Brown's phone number in St. John.
No, they used his number.
They used his phone number. So now,
okay,
when the calls were going out, it looked like poor, and I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I'm going to say Mr. Brown. Mm-hmm. Suddenly he started getting all these phone calls going, how dare you call and try to scam my family? And
oh, no.
And it wasn't him at all. So with technology, people can pretend. So that's why we say don't antagonize, don't get involved with it. Just hang up the phone and let them move on. Yeah,
now,
that can be ugly.
Should we report it?
Yes,
Okay.
the RCMP do like to have those
Okay.
requests come in. We're told that they go with it. Now, I'm going to be honest. The amount of worldwide cybercrime that's actually prosecuted, very, very small. Right. That's why they're into this. The risk is very low and the profits are really high. There's not a lot of overhead. Wow. But yes, you got to report it so they can follow trends.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes I get upset when I get those calls.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I got one last week at 7:10 in the morning.
Yeah, how do you handle a conversation like that?
Well, the gentleman who was on the other line told me he was calling from Microsoft and my computer was infected, and I thanked him for being so cognizant of the problem on my computer, as I'm a certified Microsoft systems engineer. And he hung up. So we didn't get to go any further.
Right.
So I didn't really follow my good advice, but ideally just hang up. It's probably the best.
Yeah.
He just caught me off guard. I was a little cranky at that time in the morning. I was sleeping.
It's early, yeah.
Jen has witnessed firsthand some of those calls in here.
Yes, yeah. It gets a little heated, but I think you still handle them quite well.
No. After listening to what Scott has to say, I think I'm stirring the pot. You know what I mean? Like if they're coming into my space and I'm annoying them even more, or I'm getting under.
He'll call them back. What not to do?
Not to do, right?
Yeah, it's probably not a good thing to do because if they detect your phone number, you're going to end up becoming the number that's dialing out.
Right.
Well,
and
now
then suddenly you're going to start getting a whole bunch. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, for the calling of Microsoft, we started seeing a new trend. Before they were calling and say they're Microsoft because you've got a virus, they're now starting to call and say, hey, we're sorry that you got scammed, which means these people have already been hit once.
Right.
They're calling back because they're Microsoft claims department looking to return the money to you. So could you just give us your bank information so we can transfer the money over?
And they take it again.
They're going after them a second time.
That's brutal.
Well, they figure if you fell for it once, you're probably going to fall for it a second time, and they're just changing the angle of approach, shall we say.
Wow.
Preying on these poor people.
Well, and here's the thing with cyber criminals. They don't have any laws they have to follow. They don't have to have any scruples. They don't have to have any morals. Mm-hmm. They're out to make money. Right. And they do prey on older folks that maybe don't have any real savvy with some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, my mother ended up getting a phishing email. It said that she'd been to some questionable adult content sites, and they had an old password that she'd used years ago. So the bad guys, I call them baby hackers, have gone online and bought email addresses and passwords on the dark web.
Wow.
So just like a normal business would get a list of potential prospects and you would start working through it, the bad guys are doing the same thing. So even though my mother knew she hadn't been to any of these sites, because they had that password there, it kind of scared her a bit. Went, well, that is one of my old passwords. It was like, it's okay, Ma, it's just fake. You can.
One of the terms you've just used, I recognize it, but I would assume a lot of people listening might not. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that after the break. The dark web, a dangerous place, can be.
It very much is a dangerous place.
Okay, that's good to know. Because maybe you're at home and you're like, I heard my kid talk about the dark web. But like people need to be aware of that, right? Because it's not the same thing as what we use for the internet, correct?
You are 100% correct.
Okay. We're going to be chatting a little bit about that, maybe some of the problems and issues that you could face.
We sure can.
Okay. We're going to be chatting about that coming up. On the way, we've got Dion Ferris, and I know, hang on. Here we go. Yeah, dark web, that's one of the things I find a lot of people don't know. They don't know. Steal my sunshine. It's Len. Back to 99, part of your 90s at 9. Metro's perfect music mix. It's Josh and Jen, your Ben Breakfast.
Scott Beck still in the studio with us, CEO of Beck Tech. We're here to talk about cybersecurity.
Yeah, and we were talking about your REST test. For those who just missed that, just real quick, what's the REST test stand for?
R, requesting personal information. E, trying to use your emotion to get you to take action. S, spelling and grammar. And T, think before you click.
That's something that you should be doing when you get those emails that seem fishy or
The phone
call.
calls.
Yes, exactly.
Text messages.
I just want to throw this out there. We have a great way of communicating with listeners, and Andrew just messaged us. He says, I love that you guys have him on the show. Very helpful and informative.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for paying attention.
That's right, yeah.
And you had mentioned the dark web, and the only reason why I wanted to chat about that a little bit is because over the weekend I heard my mom has heard of it, so she name dropped it like this. This guy has talked about the black web, like she didn't know, right? And I was like, are you talking about the dark web?
I feel like I don't even know really
Right.
what it's about.
Well, there's really 3 layers of the internet. There's the internet that we all know. We go to a web browser, we type in a website, and it pops up.
Right.
If we're comparing it to the ocean, that's about 6 feet of water in the ocean.
Okay.
The biggest part of the internet would be private sites, so places that you got to go put your password in. Bank sites, government sites, universities,
Right.
email sites. They're password protected, so that's the biggest part.
Okay.
But you can still find them
And that
if you search.
That's more like the second layer type.
Yeah, that's kind of the
Okay.
second layer. That's the biggest chunk. And then when you get way down to the bottom of the ocean, there's something called the dark web. And this is where the bad guys hang out. And the average person can't get there. You need special software to get in there.
Okay.
And it's not like you can just go in and run a search to find these sites. You
Right.
kind of have to know what you're looking for or get introduced, which is why it's been so dark. And these people have been able to operate kind of undercover
Right.
to run their business,
Right.
shall we say. I'm going to put air quotes
Air
around
quote
that.
business.
Yeah.
Business to generate money.
So is that where most of the cyber crime, folk come from?
I would say that's where they necessarily come from, but that's where they go to sell their wares.
Okay.
Meaning, we see it in Moncton quite a bit. An email comes in saying, hey, it's coming from the CEO, and I'm going into a meeting, but I need you to go pick up 10 gift cards, Amazon gift cards, quickly. Can you go do this for me? Or that's how they used to be.
Right.
And that's, I always used to say, it's kind of like meeting someone for the first time and asking them to marry you.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
So they weren't having really great success with it.
Yeah.
So now it's coming from the CEO and it says, hey, I'm heading into a meeting shortly. Do you got a minute? And then the employee will respond to them. Now they've got that employee's email address, which just validated that is a real person.
Right.
That email address and that response just made some money for the bad guys because they can now take that and sell that as a verified email address. So if you do this hundreds of thousands of times a day, which is what they're doing, they're automating it, they then can go to the dark web and sell this. Now, if they can get you engaged in the conversation, we actually had a business that we're aware of on the island just before Christmas. The CEO sent an email saying, he's going to give some gifts to some key employees. Can you run and go pick me up 10 Amazon cards at $100 a piece or 15? It was about $1,500. So he went and got it, and the only thing that saved him is when the bad guy said, hey, can you scratch off the back of the card and send us the codes?
Oh my gosh.
He honestly didn't understand really what they were asking.
Okay.
So he called the CEO and said, what do you want me to do with these? And the CEO was like, that wasn't me.
Wow.
That's how they caught that one. But
I wonder how often, for example, my email has been used. Do you know that? Like, what are the percentages of that?
The vast majority of email that's going around is phishing, fake spam email. We're talking like 1 billion a day. I mean, it's just astronomical. It's crazy the amount.
Wow.
Because it's a very cheap and easy way for them to try to fool people. It doesn't cost them a lot. And matter of fact, the really crafty guys are writing viruses. So I catch Josh.
Yeah.
He puts a virus on his computer.
Okay.
His computer just became my email server. So I don't even have to send the emails out. Josh's computer is now sending all these emails. So I'm using his computer, I'm using his bandwidth, and if law enforcement gets involved,
Now
it
it's
traces
me.
back to him.
Oh my gosh.
People can do that now, guys.
So
You
that's
listening to
what's
this?
actually happening.
That is so scary. This is scary stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we had a case here in Moncton that a company hadn't taken due precautions, shall we say, and they had been hacked. They hadn't known it, and they were storing content that would be very disturbing to people.
Okay.
And during a probe by the RCMP investigating this crime, it traced back to this company. And the reason we ended up getting involved was they were like, it wasn't us.
Right.
It wasn't us.
Right,
It
right.
wasn't.
Okay.
And we had to kind of show that they've been hacked and this content had been put on their computers. But the bad guys don't necessarily have to do all the heavy lifting. They will try to get other people's computer. Cryptojacking is something that's really big right now. People have probably heard about bitcoins and electronic
Yes.
currencies. Well, cryptojacking is basically a virus that they put on your computer, and it starts doing all the work to generate funds. So I'm a bad guy. I can get 100,000, 200,000, a million computers infected, all doing this, what they call mining. I won't bore people with all the technical details, but all those computers are out there doing my bidding and my work. And all I had to do was write a virus and send it out and trick people.
And you sit back and make
These
money.
guys
Then I
are-
sit back and just bring in the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing it's now
Smart.
organized crime. Like the days of it being a computer guy like me sitting in a basement somewhere is going, oh, I don't like that Josh. I'm going to go get him.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are gone. I mean,
Right.
does that still happen? Yeah, they'll still be, we call them baby hackers.
Once in a while.
But
yeah.
people are
Yeah.
becoming
But-
more and more savvy with technology. Like the longer the technology is here with us and the more it's progressing, it would make sense the more that there would be people like that.
Well, and the bad guys are on the cutting edge.
Right.
So what I'm finding scary, and a lot of other IT security guys, is we are rushing to put our fridges, put computer chips in fridges and put those online. Our heating systems are online.
Everything,
our security is
yeah.
online.
Yeah. Right.
So businesses and we as in general have had a hard time securing our computers, securing our phones, and now we want to put our fridge, we want to put our home online. That's a little bit scary. I'll tell you, I'm not doing that in my house.
Okay, that's what. So I'm not going to
I
mention, but there's these new things. For example, our phones, Siri, those types of things. Are those maybe that's something you wouldn't have in?
I have a smartphone.
Okay.
I use my smartphone.
Yeah.
I don't use Siri myself.
Okay.
Because I'm a little bit paranoid, and
Yes.
when you use Siri, it stores all those messages
Yes.
back at Apple for years. And
Right.
There are way too many times that my phone just goes off and I look at it and it's repeating back what I was saying in my conversation.
That's so weird.
So have you ever noticed when you search Amazon for a red pair of shoes
Mm-hmm.
and you go to websites, these red shoes keep showing up all over the place?
Everywhere, all over Facebook.
Well, that's starting to happen now on your phones.
Yes.
It's starting to go. So this is going to continue to progress. So as we keep putting screens on stuff, we're going to keep seeing these things happen.
We had tested the Metamucil thing.
Yeah,
kept
because
saying Metamucil.
we don't take diet pills.
No, and we never
maybe
have.
Maybe it's arguable with Metamucil to diet pill, but we were just
In a way.
saying, just speaking about diet pills all morning,
All morning.
not on the air, just in passing with our phones out, and it was the next day, and I've never had Metamucil my entire life.
Not once. We haven't purchased it.
So there was a study done in the States by a security firm that these guys operate at an even higher level than I can. And they disabled on Android phones the ability to call back in. Because on your phone, like Siri or Android, there's services that you turn on. It tracks where you're at. They turned all that stuff off.
Okay.
And what they discovered was it started sending out more communications back to home base.
Wow.
So when you turned off the GPS, when you turned off these things, the phone kind of went into overdrive, sending out even more information. So it's
odd.
now this is legal, and we're kind of living in the social media age where
What is
we
it?
are giving away so much of our free information.
Terms and service.
Oh.
Terms and services.
Oh, we don't even know what we're agreeing to. Which is
You
sad.
don't. Well, I won't mention the company because I don't want to get sued, but their license to use their software is as long as Hamlet.
Wow.
If you read the terms and conditions, it's as long as Shakespearean Hamlet. It's crazy.
Wow. We just received 2 text messages. I don't know if you can answer to this or not. Lori is saying, so is Alexa or Google Home devices safe? And then we received another text message from Sylvie saying, what about Alexa? Is that okay to have in your home?
I have friends with Alexa.
Okay.
And they use them. I do not have Alexa in my house.
Okay.
There was a case last year, maybe a year and a half ago, and this was crazy. There's a little bit of a conspiracy theory here, but there was TV.
You got my ears.
There was TV advertising. It was
Okay.
about a dollhouse, and I don't know how they played with the ads, but when it came on TV, Alexa picked that up and could hear it and ordered these dollhouses. So there was this great big run on dollhouses that
No.
Alexa started ordering for people that they hadn't, but they heard it and
Right.
Alexa picked it up.
See, that in
So
itself.
I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing.
But you don't have
but,
it.
But I don't have it.
If you don't have it, I'm not
He's a
having it.
cybersecurity specialist, and he doesn't have it.
So don't,
Okay, but
don't have it.
I want to be clear. I'm not saying don't have
Nope,
it.
Okay.
nope.
Okay.
Scott
I
didn't
don't
say
want.
anything
I don't want
like that.
Amazon coming calling.
No.
I'm just saying, by my personal choice, I don't have it.
And that's okay.
Well,
that's fair.
for me, I mean, I thought it was so fun. Like sometimes you can have games. Like I play a lot with the games. Like, hey, let's play a game. And she goes, "What game do you want to play?" You know, like for those kinds of things, I use it.
It's cool.
It is very convenient. So I was staying with another cybersecurity guy. He has it in his house.
Okay.
So I was down in Indianapolis.
See, that guy hasn't.
He has it. Well, the interesting thing, we were at a conference and he won it.
Oh wow.
So he took it home and he thought it was great. So he's playing with it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool because you get up and Alexa, what's the weather today? Alexa, I want to hear my favorite song.
Yeah.
Alexa, I want that. And it's very convenient to have that. Problem is Alexa's storing all that information and you don't know where that's going.
And what is she listening to? What happens if what happens if I'm calling somebody and I'm giving them my credit card number? Can they hear that?
So we have issues with our smart TVs
Right.
because they now have microphones as well,
Okay.
and they're smart. So there's been some known cases where they were recording without people knowing.
There was a big fallout there with Microsoft and their new Xbox. How it was always on and always connected to the internet, and then you'd say Xbox on, and it would turn on, and everyone goes, "Well, was it on? Is it on to hear that or not?" You know what I mean?
So it most definitely would have been on in
Has
order to
to,
be able to hear
right?
it.
Right.
It may not have been fully connected, but these are things that we have to be thinking about. As all of our devices are always connected and always on, the bad guys are always connected and always on.
Exactly.
So they're always looking at these exploits. So as these new technology comes out, they're already starting to look to figure out how they can monetize that for themselves. So does that mean that I'm going to go back to Alexa, does that make Alexa bad? Not necessarily.
Right.
It's not designed to be bad.
No. But anybody can hack into anything. Okay.
It's not so much. It's not so much Alexa you got to worry about. It's who's savvy
hackers.
enough
Who's
to
listening on the other side?
go around Alexa.
Yeah. Who can get through the security?
We just got a text from Lori. Says thanks, great guide, great info, very informative.
Thank you.
We're gonna have you on the show more often.
I like this.
New weekly special.
That's right. Yeah.
We've got weather. Oh, thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Really
Thanks for having me,
appreciate
guys.
it. Weather full detail coming up. We're going to continue your 90s at 9.